everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be reviewing one of the most highly anticipated films of the year, The Jungle Book. So The Jungle Book was directed by Jon Favreau, who directed the first two Iron Man films. He directed Elf and Zathura. So he's had a few good films and a few bad films in my opinion. But after seeing the trailers for this film, you really knew kind of what to expect. Through the visuals, it kind of had that Life of Pi look with the very realistic visual effects and CGI. So that's one of the reasons I was really looking forward to seeing this film. Plus it's the reimagining of The Jungle Book, which is a classic film from like the 60s. I grew up with those films, like the cartoon films, and really enjoyed them. So I was looking forward to seeing kind of a reimagining in a new sort of world with new kind of visual effects of that kind of original film. So I saw the film last night on its first opening night here in Australia, and I saw it in 3D because I'd heard from pretty much everyone who'd seen it that this is the film that you have to see in 3D, otherwise you're going to miss a lot of things, and that's definitely true. I think you can't see this film in 2D at the cinema, you kind of have to see it in 3D just because there's so much that you'll miss, because it really immerses you in the environment, because literally everything in this film, apart from the lead character who plays Mowgli, is CGI and visual effects, and you really wouldn't be able to tell that at first because the settings look so real, the characters look so real, all these animals, other than the fact that they talk, they pretty much look exactly like they would in real life. So it follows pretty much the exact same story as the original, about Mowgli, this human boy who is raised in the jungle by a pack of wolves, and he believes that he's kind of like a wolf. He doesn't really know what humans are, he's never been around them. But Shere Khan, who is kind of like the villain of the film, he's this tiger. He was once threatened by humans and attacked, so he fears them, so he kind of wants to get rid of Mowgli before he grows up to be a human. So Mowgli kind of has to leave and go to the man village. So there's a Black Panther that grew up with Mowgli called Bagheera, voiced by Ben Kingsley, and he's kind of like his friend and he's his mentor as well, kind of like a father figure, and he's leading him through the jungle to the man village. And you know, kind of all these things happen. He gets lost, they get separated. Mowgli meets Baloo, who's the bear played by Bill Murray, who's probably the best character in this film. I think most people are going to agree that Bill Murray is definitely the life of the film. And I think he was the perfect voice to cast for this character because he's kind of a light-hearted, funny character that's relaxed and chilled and doesn't really worry about anything, and his voice just suits that character so well. I think the entire voice cast was actually extremely well picked because, as I said, you got Ben Kingsley as Bagheera, Scarlett Johansson's in like one scene as this snake car. I think that snake could have been in a few more scenes, but it was a really good scene still. Idris Elba played Shere Khan, the villainous tiger, who was really threatening and really had a few intense moments throughout this film. And I know it's kind of like a family film, but I think a lot of kids are going to be quite scared during a few scenes because I even found myself clenching my fists a lot through this film because there's a few really intense moments, as I said, especially surrounding that character of Shere Khan. Also, Christopher Walken voices King Louie, who's this giant orangutan in this old temple, and he's a really cool character as well. He also was a really intense character that was quite menacing as well because he's kind of like a villain. He's only in one scene, but he does this kind of song and dance, and that's a pretty cool scene. And then this chase scene happens throughout the temple, and it's probably one of the best scenes in the film, but he is quite a villainous, menacing character as well. So Neel Sethi is the young boy who plays Mowgli, and I think this is his first big film role. I haven't seen him in anything before this, but the film kind of hinges on his performance and whether he makes this environment and the characters around him believable, because he's really only acting in a warehouse with green screens around him, and nothing that you see in the film is actually with him when he's being filmed. So for him to make these other characters be believable around him in the environment is just probably one of the hardest things to do, especially for an actor who's as young as he is, but he really pulls it off. He makes you believe that these characters are with him and they're his friends, and he's just a really believable and realistic actor, so that kind of helps the movie a lot. As I said though, one of the best things about this film is definitely the visuals. It looks so real. I'm a huge fan of Life of Pi, and it just has that look. I think this film definitely has to be nominated at least for Best Visual Effects, if not win at the Academy Awards next year, because it's just so real. Nothing at all looks fake in the film. You would swear that everything is practically real. And yeah, it's definitely a film that you have to see in 3D. Don't see it in 2D because it will definitely take away from the experience. So I've said all the pluses about the film, and there's only really a few small negatives in my mind. And the main thing I disliked about the film was the ending, so the last act of the film, where there's this scene where obviously Mowgli's got to face off against the villain, Shere Khan, and it takes place at night. So I feel like this whole last part of the film took place at night, and the visuals weren't there as much because at night obviously you can't see the amount of detail that you can through the day. So I felt like they kind of put that whole ending into a night scene so that it would have been kind of easier to finish or animate, I guess. I would have liked to see that scene during the day. I think it would have been a lot better. And there's this kind of really elaborate plan that Mowgli's setting up to trap Shere Khan at the end, and it's not really believable in my mind. It kind of relates to something that happens early in the film, But yeah, it's just this big kind of setup that it's not really the easiest way I guess they could have ended this film. But it is a Disney film and a family film, so it's obviously not going to be the next Inception or Memento, you know, there doesn't have to be all these twists and turns like that. It just has to be fun and entertaining, which this movie was the entire way through. I found myself enjoying it the whole way through, and you really get emotionally involved with all these characters, even though they are animals, because of how believable they are and how well cast the voices are. So I thoroughly enjoyed The Jungle Book, guys. It's probably the best reimagining of the whole stories, you know, since the original film. Definitely recommend you to go out and see it. It's definitely a good fun family film, but it's not really a straight out kids film, so I think adults will definitely enjoy this as well, especially for the visuals. So I'm going to give The Jungle Book an A-. It's definitely one of the best films I've seen so far this year. So thanks guys for watching my review of The Jungle Book. Please like, subscribe and comment down below, tell me what you thought of the film, and I'll catch you in my next video. Bye.